Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Live with CDP podcast on this Saturday, February 12th, 2022. This is season 3, episode 3 of Live with CDP podcast. And I'm looking forward to speaking to my guest today, Stu Boyar, the former longtime sports anchor and reporter for WGRZ Channel 2 in Buffalo. And this will be Stu's third time coming on my show, and we're going to talk a little bit about the 2021 Buffalo Bills, and we're also going to talk a little NFL and get Stu's thoughts on the Super Bowl 56 tomorrow between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams, and CDP is going to make his prediction and MVP pick here as well. So anyways, it's a busy day today for sports. We got the Storm taking on Saginaw tonight at 7 o'clock. We got the Toronto Rock taking on the Buffalo Bandits, a game that I was supposed to go to, and Job Shadow John Googler, unfortunately, got postponed because of the restrictions here in Ontario, is on at 5 o'clock today. So just give me one moment, guys, and I'm going to bring on my guest, Stu Boyar, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bills and preview Super Bowl 56, which I'm looking forward to as well. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming on, watching Live with CDP podcast today, and also the audio form as well. Just one moment, and I'm going to bring on Stu Boyar. Good morning, Stu. How you doing?
Good morning, Chris. How are you? I'm doing great. And you?
A little tired, but you know what? Overall, I'm pretty good. I had a good game last night doing camera work. Unfortunately, the home team blew a 3-0 lead and lost 5-4 in overtime.
Well, you know, we're very familiar with blowing leads here in Buffalo, unfortunately, especially in hockey.
Yeah, because everybody at the game last night, it's like, yeah, you're a negative cameraman. I said, look, I don't feel good about the 3-0 lead because I've seen too many leads blowing it over my 49 years in sports. And sure enough, it happens.
Yeah, it shouldn't, but it does.
Because you got to play the full game. You can't just play 20, 30, 40 minutes and expect to win.
Well, it's just amazing how one thing leads to another. You know, a soft goal here and there, and the other team gets confidence and momentum, and the next thing you know, they're flying. The next thing you know, the game's tied, and the next thing you know, you lose the game in overtime.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Flint was down 3-0 after the first. They changed goalies in the second period, and then within a few minutes, they scored kind of a soft goal, and that just seemed to get them going. And they're a really strong team in the Ontario Hockey League this year as well.
Yeah, that happens at all levels.
Definitely. So, how's everything in Buffalo right now?
Cold, but good.
Same here.
Life is good. It's February. It's supposed to be cold. We're supposed to get some snow. We haven't had any horrible blizzards yet this season. So, you know, it's a winter and
Yep.
You know, hardy souls.
Yeah, we've got about almost 2 feet of snow here, but it hasn't all come at once. It's kind of been a bit here, a bit here, a bit here. So
Yeah.
the only thing I don't like is the ice, driving on ice.
Yeah, no, nobody likes that. The black ice that you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
We had one big day of snow and a bunch of others that just kind of added up. So we still have some snow. It's been a little bit warmer and sunny for a day or two. So some of it is melted, but you know, it's cold out today and nothing's going to melt today.
No, I think the snow is going to be here for at least another month. And my car keys and house keys are probably in my snow bank. They fell in. So at least I don't have to worry about them. They'll show up probably in March or April.
Well, I hope so for your sake. You know, when I was at Channel 2 for years, I lost a set of keys. And I had to call my wife to come pick me up. This was late at night. And she did. And I couldn't find the keys. And about 8 to 10 years later, they just miraculously showed up.
Wow.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Couldn't find them, looked everywhere. And all of a sudden, they were there years later. And I mean, years later. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Now you show up.
Wow.
They did. And they were like stuck in the floor somewhere. And then we moved a desk or something. And it was like, oh, look at these keys. Oh, these are my keys.
Wow.
I was even onto a different car by then. That's how long it was.
Wow. Well, like I said, I have replacement house keys, garage keys, and the work keys aren't a big deal. I can get other ones, but you're right. When I stop looking for them, they'll show up at some point.
Yep. And you just never know when or how long it'll be.
That's true. It could be a day or a week, or it could be 8 years in your case. So that happens. So, what's the feeling in Buffalo right now? You find a lot of people are looking forward to the Super Bowl, or since the Bills were eliminated, they kind of lost interest in your area.
um, you know, I I am not one of those people who, when the Bills lose, I'm no longer interested. I'm very unhappy when they lose,
Hmm.
but I like to see how the rest of it plays out. So I'm interested. I find what you just described happens mostly in baseball with Yankee fans because that's the only team they care about, and you feel however you want to feel about that. But I enjoy all the games, and I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl. And the way the Bills season ended was devastating, crushing. I mean, your franchise quarterback won the game for you twice in the last 2 minutes. And we all know about the 13 seconds, and it was a very difficult way to end. And so, in that sense, it has everybody looking forward to late July and August because no matter what happens this off season, and it will be an interesting off season, they'll be geared up and ready to go and actually make a run to the Super Bowl in 2022. And nothing short of that would be successful.
I uh, I have to say it. I really do think the Bills should get to the Super Bowl next year, and I was gonna say, and I admit I was one of the critics of Josh Allen because there were some games where he played poorly, but like you told me, Stu, too, there's other factors in a quarterback having a bad game too. You can't just, and I've been hard on him and some other guys like Jalen Hurts, and there's other factors as well. But he is the real deal, and as long as he stays healthy, the Bills should be a Super Bowl contender next year.
Well, the problem was I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback play so well in the playoffs. And for them to lose that game was just like there's not much else he could have done in the playoffs. He was fabulous. He was beyond great in the playoffs. That's how good he was against both the Patriots and the Chiefs. And unfortunately, being a team sport, other aspects of the team let him down. But he completed clutch fourth down. He gave the team not gave the team the lead not once but twice, and they still couldn't hold it. So as long as he's there, they do have a window of contention. But what you don't want to do is you have to go back to make my point here. You don't want to be the Houston Oilers to the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 1970s, or to the Kansas City Chiefs to the Bills in the 90s, or the Indianapolis Colts to the Bills in the 90s. You don't want to be the team that just can't get past that other team. And that's why another reason it was so disappointing to lose to Kansas City. And I know a lot of people who thought, oh, if we can just beat Kansas City, we'll roll Cincinnati. Well, I never thought they would roll them, and I think Kansas City thought, especially at 21-3, we're going to roll these guys. I think they were looking past the Chiefs. I think they already had in their minds, past the Bengals, they already had a date in the Super Bowl. And then when they didn't get that touchdown before halftime, things began to unravel. And unfortunately, fortunately for the Bengals, unfortunately for the Bills, the Bengals defense and the defensive staff and the coaching staff figured out how to stop the Chiefs, which the Bills never did in that playoff game. So unfortunately, the Bills season ends. The defense was atrocious that night from the opening kickoff. And then those final 13 seconds are just gut wrenching. That's right up there with wide right and no goal and the Music City Miracle and all that other stuff. But it was just it was a hard kick to take. It was a kick in the stomach or a little lower,
Hmm.
and it was hard to take because, like I said, your franchise quarterback won the game for you twice in the last 2 minutes.
I was going to say, in all your time, Stu, covering the Buffalo Bills, was this the greatest performance by a Bills quarterback, including Jim Kelly?
Well, I have to say probably. Now, don't forget, I'm a huge Jim Kelly fan, and he did
Hmm.
things. But I don't know if a quarterback's ever played better than Allen in that playoff game against the Patriots. That's like a perfect game. That's like the Sandy Koufax of football. And he was nearly as good against KC. So I would say probably yes. That is probably the greatest two-game stretch of quarterbacking in franchise history and maybe even NFL history. That's how good Josh Allen was, and that's another reason it's so disappointing that the Bills actually found a way to lose that game.
And I was going to say, Gabriel Davis, do you think he's now going to be their number two receiver next year?
Well, let's put it this way. I liked him his rookie year because he made
Hmm.
great catches against Indianapolis and in the playoff game and throughout that season. I was like, man, this guy is really making a bid here. And he kind of exploded in the playoff game. Um, and I don't see how they can kind of hold him back. And who knows what they'll do in free agency or the draft or who they will bring back. But it would be pretty hard to see him as anything but the number two guy as I look ahead to next season. Diggs is obviously number one, and I
Hmm.
say Gabe Davis is clearly number two at this point.
Because they have the veteran Emmanuel Sanders, and then they have Cole Beasley as well.
Well, I don't know if either. I mean, now Brandon Bean said he thinks Cole Beasley will be back, and so okay. I go both ways on bringing him back. Some days I think great. Some days I think I think he played hurt this year. He got you nothing after the catch, and you know sometimes I'm like he's great. Something most of the time I'm like just eh. He's a little older already, a little long in the tooth. Um, and I don't know if Emmanuel Sanders is going to come back for a 13th year. So we'll see. That's why I say we don't know what they're going to do in the draft, free agency, trades. Nobody knows exactly how this roster is going to be constructed next year. I do hope they find a way to bring Isaiah McKenzie back because I think he has a lot of value and he showed, at least in that Patriots game, what an impact he can have. And I'd like to see him get some more touches too. And of course, they have a different offensive coordinator too. So we don't know how Ken Dorsey is going to use all these guys either because it's no longer Brian Dayball.
I was gonna say, um, I was gonna ask you something. I forgot. I should have wrote it down, but I was gonna say, I guess with the coaching switches as well. I've been hearing stuff too, and it's probably hearsay. They're saying that Dable and McDermott didn't get along, but you cover sports for 35 years, and obviously the Bills. Obviously, in a coaching staff in that kind of environment, there's going to be coaches that have disagreements about stuff, and to me, I think the media might be overreacting a little bit about Dable and McDermott having kind of a feud type of like not a great racial relationship.
That I don't really know. I don't think it was too big a split. I just think if you're playing all those games and you're not going to win all 17 of them, there's going to be some kind of strained feelings. But I don't think it was a big feud. I just think maybe a disagreement here and there. Um, I don't know how much there is to that. Yeah, years ago, Nick Nicolau and Tom Bresnahan, they didn't really like each other much, and one of them put the other's head through a wall. That was back in the Super Bowl era. Um, I don't think those two guys liked each other very much, but I don't really think McDermott and Dayball were standing in the ring with boxing gloves going at it. I don't think so. I mean, did they have some disagreements? Yeah, particularly after the Monday night Patriots game that they lost at home. That I think that was just probably, and I could be wrong here, more frustration than anything else, and not evidence of a huge a huge feud. Maybe a little bit of crack in the armor, but
Hmm.
not a feud, I don't think.
Okay. And that was going to lead to my next question, anyways. Thoughts on Brian Dable leaving for the Giants head coaching job, and quick thoughts on the new offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, and quarterbacks coach Joe Brady. And I believe they brought in another coach for the offensive line as well.
Aaron Cromer.
Okay.
Um, well, I say great for Brian Dayball. He more than earned it. I thought he did a great job. My question is Josh Allen without Brian Dayball? So obviously Josh worked with Jordan Palmer and other coaches too, but Brian Dayball seemed to be quite instrumental in his development. And listen, Brian Dayball has worked long and hard to get that opportunity. So I say good for Brian Dayball. Congratulations and good luck to him, except against the Bills. But listen, he won how many Super Bowls with the Patriots? He won a national championship at Alabama, and unfortunately for him, he couldn't quite get one here with the Bills. But overall, he did a great job. I know some people are going to nitpick about, oh, he wasted 3 series in the game against Kansas City, and I get all that stuff. But overall, he did a fabulous job here, I thought. Ken Dorsey, well, I don't, to the best of my knowledge, he has not been a play caller in the NFL, but Josh Allen wanted him here and he got him here. So I think that speaks volumes that Josh wanted his guy, got his guy. And as for Joe Brady, he was with Joe Burrow in LSU in 2019, and Burrow and Jamar Chase was also at LSU with Brady, or with Joe Brady. Um, they've had great things to say about him, and we'll see. I think he'll be great too. If he got whatever he got out of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in that offense, I get it. It was college football, but at the end of the day, football's still football.
Hmm.
And I'm very optimistic. I think that's a great choice. And as for Aaron Cromer, when he was here, they led the league in rushing a couple of times. So in that sense, that's also good. Now, what'll it mean for any of the current running backs on the roster? I don't know. Those are all Brandon Beane decisions as to keep any or move on from any of them. And we'll see again how they approach that. But I think their moves on the coaching staff are good moves.
Definitely. I was gonna say, as for Brian Dable, he's the second Canadian born head coach in the NFL because he's from Welland, Ontario. So I'm happy about him there as well. And there's also a Canadian connection in the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. His dad played in the CFL gym with Montreal, Ottawa, and Calgary as a defensive back from 76 to 81. And Zach Taylor, the Bengals head coach, was the third string quarterback on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Grey Cup team in 2007 as well.
Well, those are interesting connections. And if you want to find some connections to the NFL, look at St. Francis High School here in Buffalo and look at a number of people who went to high school there, starting with Brian Dayball. There are a number
Wow.
of I can't they don't come to my mind right away, but there's like 3 or 4 other men who went to St. Francis who are in the NFL now, including Brian, obviously.
Okay. And you've already answered a sort of my next question, but I was going to ask you, Stu, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. What's the salary cap situation like for the Bills currently? And how much is the cap going up in 22? I do believe it is going up.
I don't know how much it's going up. I don't think they have a ton of cap space. And I don't have a good answer for you there. But I'm pretty sure they do not have a lot of cap space. They have some room, but not a lot. And I'm assuming that there are ways that Brandon Beane can create a little bit more salary cap room under the salary cap. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I'm sure he'll figure it out. It's not like they have millions upon millions upon millions of room in the salary cap. I think they only have like 10 million under the cap, but again, that's just off the top of my head, and I don't really know. That's just a wild guess.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question. If you were actually the general manager of the team, what area would you try to address in the offseason, either through free agency or the draft?
Interesting. Yeah, that's a really good question. I think they're going to look at cornerback. Me personally, boy, I'll tell you what, I'd like to find even more weapons for Josh Allen. Let's go all in on, back in the day, Bill Polian found James Lofton. And if Brandon Beane could somehow find a DK Metcalf type, big, strong, wide receiver like that, boy, would I love to get that guy. I'd also like an upgrade at running back. And I have to hope that my guys who I drafted this year, like Russo and Basham, make big strides coming forward, because I don't think they're bringing Star Lotulelei back. So the answer to your, well, it might have to be, at the last part of the season, the offensive line seemed to come together and play better. And we'll see if that continues under the new offensive line coach. So you could make an argument for a number of things, but if you have Josh Allen, who has a howitzer for an arm, he can run. I mean, the guy can do everything and anything. So if I can add to his stable of weapons, and if I can find him that kind of wide receiver, I'll go that way, because I want them to be unstoppable. Which I know you're going to say defense wins champions and all that, but it's a passing league.
Yes.
Offensive league. So go get Josh Allen, that big stud wide receiver. Or how's that? Probably,
I agree.
Probably not the most popular answer.
I agree. But one thing I like about this team better than I did last year's team, okay, the record wasn't as good. I like the fact the last 2 months they had a more balanced offense. And I'm still a big believer. Obviously, the passing, like you said, Stu, but it's nice to have a running game besides Josh Allen that will keep teams honest as well.
No doubt. You want the running game especially when you want to run out the clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no issue. Like, what I liked in the second New England game, the first play from scrimmage was a pass to Devin Singletary, who caught the ball and put his head down and ran like a maniac. And he ran really hard. And if I can see that short passing game is kind of a substitution for the running game.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'd like more of a running game from someone besides Josh Allen. But he's still young. He's a big guy, 6'5", 240. So it's not like he's Doug Flutie running around back there.
That's true.
And Flutie was a lot of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen, is he Doug Flutie with size and a bigger arm?
Yes.
So, he's a great runner. I'd love to see him get a real deep threat. Diggs is more deep threat, but I would love to see him get a real legitimate deep threat, a big guy with size. Like if what's his name from Green Bay, if he becomes he's going to be a free agent. What's his name? Devontae Parker?
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams, yeah. Go get him. I don't care what you have to pay him. I don't think they have enough room under the cap, but can you imagine him with Josh Allen? Now, that's exciting. That would be fabulous. I would love that. Now, happen, but it sure would be fun.
I was gonna say, and I know the Eagles a long time ago. They had a quarterback. I think was the first protocol of Josh Allen, Randall Cunningham, and the Eagles had him for many years. And they had Reggie White. They had a great defense, and they never got it done. And I really don't think the Bills are going to end up like the Eagles back in the late '80s, early '90s. But Randall Cunningham had a cannon of an arm, and to me, Josh Allen sort of reminds me of Randall Cunningham.
I hope you're right, and that does not happen to the Bills. I don't remember why that didn't happen for the Eagles. Randall Cunningham was a lot of fun to watch. Josh Allen has a little bit of Cunningham, a little bit of Ben Roethlisberger. He's a combination of a whole bunch of guys.
Yep.
Maybe with an even bigger arm. Cunningham was fun to watch, and Donovan McNabb was fun to watch for your Eagles too. And those Eagles only made it to the Super Bowl once and lost. So hopefully that does not happen to Josh Allen. Hopefully the Bills can get there and win one. And if you win one, you never know what's happen after that. So
That's true. And
uh,
and it goes to shows to how hard it is to win a championship. Like everybody criticizes Peyton Manning and Big Ben Roethlisberger, but they've won multiple championships. And look at all the great quarterbacks that have won one Super Bowl or none, including Aaron Rodgers. It just shows you how hard it is.
yeah, well, what I said to a friend of mine the other day was very simple. If you're going to win a championship, you have to have absolutely everything going on like a hamster on the same wheel at the same time. It's like if you're out there rowing a boat, everybody's got to be on the same page. It's got to be in rhythm. It's got to be, and you think there's three phases: special teams, offense, and defense. Well, add a fourth one: coaching. How important is coaching? It's the fourth phase in my book. You have to have it. You have to have and you have to have a little bit of luck, and you have to get a call here and there. So for it to be quote unquote your year, everything, and I mean everything, has to be going your way. You have to avoid the injury bug. You have to hope that enough of your top players have their career year at the same time. So the tiniest detail that you can think of has to be going in the same direction. Otherwise, there will be one thing that will trip you up. Like look at the Bills, 13 seconds. It's all it took, 13 seconds, much to my chagrin. But you get my point. Everything
Yes.
to be going, or it's just for whatever reason, it's just not going to work.
This will be the last thing I bring up about that game because, like I said, I know how hard it was. Do you blame the coaching staff or the special teams for that, or do you agree with kicking it out of bound, like kicking it into the end zone?
Well, it's easy for me to say after the fact. I don't think that's what they intended to do. And you'll notice the Bills' special teams coach, Heath Farwell, has now moved on to Jacksonville. Um, I blame it on everybody, but it goes to the coaching staff because they either didn't convey the message, and even after the kick, there were two plays after that where they were very, very soft. They weren't aggressive. It's a sport about aggressiveness, and they were passive, and they got burned, and it cost them the game. So uh, that goes clearly to me. And say what you want about the execution on the kick. Okay, maybe the kid didn't get the message. Maybe he got excited. Call it execution like Sean McDermott did. Call it whatever you want, but it goes with the head coach and the defensive coordinator because it seems to me like they fell asleep. And uh, I don't know how football teams can not be aggressive in every single situation. It's a sport that's all about aggression, and instead they got passive, and they paid for it, and they'll pay for it forever. So the answer to your question is I blame the head coach and the defensive coordinator. And yeah, say the guys in the field didn't execute. Okay. It was the coaching staff that made a decision to kick the ball previously into the hands of number 10 on the Chiefs, fastest guy maybe on the planet in it. Well, certainly in the NFL. And he took it for a touchdown, or he had a big return. I don't remember. Well, one, he caught a pass and ran it in for a touchdown. Another, he had a big kick return. Why would you ever kick the ball to him? Why?
Hmm.
So there's a blame to go around, but you know, special teams coach, defensive coordinator, and head coach.
I was gonna say Tyler Bass obviously had a good year and he'll be back, obviously. What about Matt Hack? Overall, what was your thoughts of him? I still like Corey Borquez, but obviously I think it was a money issue. That's why he went to Green Bay. But do you think the Bills will address their punting situation?
I'm going to say they signed him to a 3-year deal. They'll bring in other punters to compete because they always do that. And yeah, they'll look at it long and hard. And, and the new special teams coach, whose name's I think I hired him. I can't remember who it is. Um, it'll be a yeah. They'll look at it. They look at everything. The punter, Matt Hack, he was very frustrating. Had a punt blocked in the first game of the season against Pittsburgh. Seems to me, and I could be way off. Seems like he takes a little longer than Bajorquez to get a punt off. Although Bajorquez got one blocked in the game against San Francisco, so um, I guess in that sense it evens out. But and the thing about Hack was he was supposed to be great at pinning teams inside the 20, and that only happened once it happened once against Kansas City, and the other times he didn't quite get the kicks that they would have liked. So yeah, they'll definitely. I mean, they look at all the positions, and they'll definitely look at that too. Late in the season, I think they brought in another punter, and I'm not sure if they signed him to the practice squad or what they did with him, but I know they brought at least one guy in, and they're always doing that anyway. So certainly they will do that.
Just shows you how important special teams is, especially in the postseason.
Always, you can, And by the way, speaking of special teams, Steve Tasker should be going into the Hall of Fame, but once again, they've screwed that up.
That was my next question, and I want to get onto that. Steve Tasker, I definitely think so. Obviously, you feel so. What about Devin Hester of the Bears? He didn't get in again. Do you feel Devin Hester should have been in as well?
No, not if Steve Tasker's not in, Devin Hester shouldn't be in. Tasker did it longer. He wasn't maybe as dynamic in terms of returning kicks, but Tasker did everything. He changed the way people looked at special teams, and for what it's worth, he was a Pro Bowl MVP one year.
Yes.
But if Steve Tasker's not in, no other special teamers get in until Tasker gets his just due and gets into the Hall of Fame.
Do you think it's because he played for the Bills, or do you think if it was with, let's say, the Patriots, the Giants, bigger market, that he would already be in?
Uh, Possibly. I just think for some reason, if you're like Devin Hester and you're an exciting return guy, you're more exciting, you're more dynamic, and you're in a bigger market. So maybe there's a little bit of that, but maybe people feel that enough of those Bills have been in the Hall of Fame. I don't really have a good answer for that question, other than to say I think they're crazy not to put Steve Tasker in the Hall of Fame. Period.
I agree with you totally, Stu, and I think they should have a category for special teams players. Obviously, I think Morton Anderson's in the Hall of Fame, so but the Hall of Fame should look at that.
Well, I think Morton Anderson, Ray Guy, and Jan Stenerud.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not sure who else. You
Well,
know,
to me, Steve Tasker was a very valuable member of the Bills Super Bowl teams.
no doubt, no doubt.
And you know what? I saw him play receiver a few games, and if he became a full time receiver, I think he could have been Julian Edelman before Julian Edelman, or a Wes Walker type receiver.
Well, Jim Kelly wanted Steve Tasker to be much more involved in the offense. It didn't really happen. I'll tell you another guy um, who I think could have been in the Hall of Fame is Eric Moulds. I thought he was fabulous, and he's the guy who started the one-hand catches. So I don't understand why he doesn't get any consideration. He was a great player, but I'm biased because he's a
Mm.
Buffalo Bills guy, and I've always been a big fan of his. So um, Tasker and Moulds, yeah, that would work for me.
I think Molds probably would have got more consideration, in my opinion, if he had played on better Bills teams back then.
Yeah, no doubt that was part of it. He was on some pretty good teams, but he just missed the Super Bowl era.
Yes, definitely. Okay. And quick thoughts on the Hall of Fame class of 2022 and Dick Vermeil.
I like Dick Vermeil. I have no issue with him. The Hall of Fame class is generally, unless there's a Bills guy going, I don't pay a lot of attention to. But I have no issue with Dick Vermeil. He was a great coach for a long time, and Eagles, Rams, I think, and he won a lot of games. And he finally, I'm not even sure, he won a Super Bowl with somebody, but I don't remember who. Didn't he?
Dick Vermeil won with the Rams, and he lost the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Oh,
But he turned around the Eagles franchise that missed the playoffs 17 straight years from 61 to 77, I believe. And he turned that team he turned them into winners. Obviously, they lost the Super Bowl against the Oakland Raiders back then in New Orleans, but he helped rebuild the Eagles franchise.
right. He did, and he's very deserving of his spot. He lost the Super Bowl with Ron Jaworski,
Yes.
the Polish rifle from Lackawanna, New York,
Mm-hmm.
and a great ESPN guy and a really good guy. Ron's just one of those great guys in sports.
I'm just so glad Cliff Branch and Leroy Butler got in. The other guys, Sam Mills, I'm okay with. Richard Seymour, because he played for New England, and Bryant Young. I have no real issues other than I really do agree with you on this, Stu, that Steve Tasker should have been introduced into the Hall of Fame this year.
Yes, I'm a Steve Tasker fan.
Okay, definitely. Are you okay for a few more minutes?
Sure.
Few more questions? Okay. Since I got you on here, I might as well ask you this quickly. Just quick thoughts on the retirements of Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady. And my other question is, should the Pro Bowl Football Hall of Fame waive the 5-year waiting period for Tom Brady?
Interesting question, and no. Obviously, he's probably the greatest of all time at quarterback, but no. I mean, unfortunately, the only time you see that waived is in the case of an untimely death. Oh, it's happened. I forgot where. I mean, Roberto Clemente in the Baseball Hall of Fame, I think, who died tragically on a humanitarian mission, and I don't wish that on anyone at all. It's been waived another time too. Was it Walter Payton when he passed away? I'm not really sure, but no, don't no. Why should that be waived for Tom Brady? I mean, no. And Brady obviously was fabulous. He tormented the Bills in that regard. I'm not sad to see him go and right off into the sunset. Um, the whole Tuck rule thing started a Patriots dynasty, but he just devoured the Bills. He destroyed them. I mean, you talk about a nemesis, and he was a lot of fun to watch. I'll give him that. Even though most of the times I watched him, he was kicking me in the stomach as a Bills fan. What a great player. Yeah, I mean, my goodness. And unfortunately, those scandals, the Deflategate, Spygate, um, puts a little less shine on the armor. But my goodness, I've never seen a greater quarterback over that length of time to do the things that he did. Incredible, marvelous, unbelievable. And no, they should not waive the 5-year rule for Tom Brady. Roethlisberger, great player, extended plays, big, tall, physical guy. He was fun to watch. Had early in his career off the field issues. Yeah, Brady never had those, by the way. Brady squeaky clean, except for a comment or two about hotels in Buffalo.
Mhm.
But okay, Brady had a child with what's her name, the woman on Blue Bloods, Erin Monahan, and then married Giselle. But he was so much fun to watch. Roethlisberger was fun to watch too. I mean, those Pittsburgh Baltimore games were unbelievable. And a lot of times he seemed to be able to put his team on his back and win them. So, yeah, he was a lot of fun. But Brady, unbelievable. No other word to describe him, really. All the adjectives you can think of fit when you talk about Tom Brady.
Yeah, and like I was mentioning to somebody, I was at his first ever NFL game in 2000 against San Francisco, and I call it the food poisoning game because I didn't want to go to that game. I was in a hotel in Canton, Ohio, and I did not feel good at all. And my buddy at the time, Todd, said, "Come on, you got to go. You got to go. You got to see Brady. You got to see some of the Patriot rookies." And thankfully I did go, and he came in the second half against the Niners team, and he kind of dissected them, and I was really impressed. And I'm like, wow, this fourth string quarterback behind Bledsoe, John Freeze, Michael Bishop, who ended up playing here in Canada, and then this young skinny kid named Brady. So I don't know if I'm going to sell my ticket stub from that game to this guy I was mentioning to you on Facebook yesterday.
Yeah, be real careful with that,
Mm-hmm.
unless somebody tries to scam you.
Yeah, I'll be careful,
Yeah,
and
but
that's
no,
something I
Brady.
don't want to. Go ahead, sorry, Stu.
No, you said there's something you don't want to.
I don't know if I wanted to. I'm gonna think about it today. But I collect sports stuff, and I generally don't like to sell it because I'm a huge sports memorabilia collection, and that was something to be being at that game on July 31st, 2000.
Yeah, I
So,
I get that, Chris. I get. Oh, Brady was spectacular. Roethlisberger was great too. I'm sure that the people in Cleveland, Cincinnati, and
mhm.
Baltimore glad to see him go.
Okay. And I just got two quick questions for you, Stu. This one I had to ask you. I had a guy on the other day from the Athletic. Yes or no? Should the NFL scrap this current Pro Bowl game?
Absolutely. It's touch football. Yeah, I've never liked the Pro Bowl. I don't really generally enjoy all-star games. So just do a skills competition and be done with it because they're not playing football. Nobody's getting hit, or put flags on them and let them play flag football. So yeah, get rid of it. Goodbye. Good riddance. No longer relevant. Not fun. Disgusting. Go away. Be done. Gone. Yes is the answer.
Definitely. The only All Star game I like is Major League Baseball All Star game.
I like the baseball all-star game. I'm extremely frustrated and angry at Major League Baseball and the MLB and the Major League Baseball Players Association again right now, because they don't have a deal. Spring training is supposed to start this week, and I'm furious with all of them. And next question, okay? I'm just disgusted with them. I want them. I write every Facebook post I get. Okay, enough of this garbage. Shut up and play a ball. Get a deal done and play a ball. It can't be this difficult. You're all millionaires and billionaires, so figure it out. They long ago forgot that. Yeah, I know it. You don't have a game without the players, but you know who else you don't have a game without? The
Fans.
So figure it out and play ball. That's my take on that one.
Oh, and the thing is, the Tigers, the 22 Tigers, were supposed to have a team to compete for a wild card. And also, Lou Whitaker was supposed to have his number retired in 2020, and because of the pandemic, got shut down. Then last year got shut down, and then this year they're supposed to do it August 6th, 2022 against Tampa Bay. And who knows if that's going to happen because Lou Whitaker's number one should have been retired 20 years ago.
Well, I hope it happens. It should have happened, and hopefully it will because he deserves to have his number retired.
Definitely, because he's one of my favorite all-time Tigers, Major League Baseball players, and he should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And it's like Steve Tasker. For some reason, they don't believe he's a Hall of Famer, and he is, in
Well,
my opinion.
I'm not going to argue with you. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I know that was a great double play combination of Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell, and Trammell's in the Hall of Fame.
Whitaker hit 276, 244 home runs, 1,084 RBIs, 2,396 hits, five-time All-Star, three Gold Gloves in a row, the 1978 Rookie of the Year, and he was a huge part of the '84 World Series team. And he also should have been the All-Star Game MVP in '86 when he hit the two-run home run off Dwight Gooden to give the American League the win that game.
Who was the MVP that year?
Roger Clemens.
Well, that was stupid.
To me, it should have been Lou in the '86 All-Star game at the Astrodome in Houston.
Well, how many innings did Clemens pitch?
I can't remember, but all I know is the American League All-Stars won 3-2, but it was because Lou Whitaker's two-run home run off Doc Gooden, who was one of the best pitchers in baseball back then.
Well, I'll agree with you on that.
Definitely. And my last question I wanted to ask you, it's not really a question, but quick thoughts on this matchup between the Bengals and Rams, and who do you think wins MVP, and just a couple keys to a win for either team.
Well, I've always been a big Matthew Stafford fan. He played in Detroit and got destroyed, and I thought he was a great player there. I know he's a little at times prone to interceptions, but I do think if Sean McVay can manage this game for Matthew Stafford, then that will favor the Rams. I do think the Rams are a little bit better team than the Bengals. And I do think that they should probably win this game. But yet, Joe Burrow he doesn't have the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes numbers necessarily, but he's a winner. He finds ways to get things done, and he's extremely clutch, as is their kicker. Their defense stepped up big against Kansas City, as did their defensive coaching staff, actually the whole coaching staff. So it shapes up as an interesting Super Bowl matchup. I do think the Rams will win. And I don't think Burrow's going to have as much success getting away from Aaron Donald and maybe Von Miller. And there's the third guy on the Rams. His name slips my mind at the moment. Um, it's not like the Kansas City defense. This is a much better defense than the Kansas City defense. So I don't know if Kansas City can stop Cooper Kupp, and if the Rams run the ball the way they've been able to in some of these other games, then I think they'll win. And also, if you go back to the playoff game against Tampa Bay, when they almost gagged it away, all of a sudden they stayed aggressive. And Stafford completed a deep ball down the middle to Cooper Kupp that set up the game-winning field goal. So I'm going to take the Rams here. 4 points is, I think, what the odds makers are saying right about now. And that sounds quite reasonable to me. I'll take the Rams unless Stafford turns it over 3 times.
And you know what? Cincinnati's defense has gotten turnovers in this postseason.
Well, that's why they beat Tennessee despite the 9 sacks, because 3 turnovers is more important than 9 sacks. I think this should actually be a really good game, and I just think the Rams are a little bit better team, so I'll stick with them. And I'm very happy for Matthew Stafford because I've always been a big fan of his. And in Detroit now, they're selling Detroit Rams
shirts. Yep. Oh yeah, one of the guys from the Ticket at 97.1 in Detroit, a sports station, Jeff Rieger. He's never liked Stafford. He disliked him when he was in Detroit, and he's still doesn't believe in him. And if Stafford wins the Super Bowl on the Rams, I don't know how else he can say anything else negative about him, because he's obviously a big time quarterback. He's won his playoff games, and now he's an opportunity to become an all time great with winning a Super Bowl.
Well, think of it this way. Detroit, great quarterback. Okay, he had Megatron for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a terrible team. He took tons of punishment, and the Rams got him because they believed that he could get them further than Jared Goff to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So I guess you'd say there's an awful lot of pressure on that guy right now. Whereas Joe Burrow is operating at the other end without that kind of pressure. Of course, they're in the Super Bowl, so there's pressure. But for Matthew Stafford's sake, I'd like to see the Rams win this game. And being an AFC guy, it's hard to go against a great story like the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just like to see Matthew Stafford win a Super Bowl.
I was going to say it's going to be a New England free Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, now that, you see, is tremendous. And I hope it's a New England free Super Bowl for a long, long, long time.
But I have to be nice about it, because the radio play-by-play guy, Bob Sochi, who's from Auburn, New York, is coming on my podcast this week to talk about the Patriots and Tom Brady.
Well, I'm sure he'll do a great job, as he does on Patriot games, and hopefully he'll have a lot of fun describing more games like the last meeting of the Bills and the Patriots in the playoffs over the next, well, I don't know, course of 20 years of Josh Allen's career. How's that?
Definitely. My Super Bowl pick, I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go with Cincinnati 28-21 over the Rams. I think Stafford might throw a late interception, and I do believe Joe Burrow is going to win Super Bowl 56 MVP. But if the Rams win, I believe Carson Coop will win the MVP.
Well, we'll see. Like I said, I'm going with the Rams. Could be, I don't know what to make. It could be high scoring. Could be 31-27. The odds makers usually have a pretty good handle on this. How they do it, I have no idea, but they do. I'll go with, how about this? 31-28 Rams.
Okay. And I was going to say, and what I like is the fact the weather is going to be 84 degrees there, and it's going to be perfect conditions. So, like I said, I'm not sure who's going to win this game. I think it's a toss up, but I think it will be a high scoring game.
Well, we'll see. I should be fun, and I do think the Rams are the better team, but the better team doesn't always win, as we have seen many times.
Just like the 1990 Bills, and then just like this year, because I agree with you on this, Stu, that I thought the Bills this year were a better team than the Kansas City Chiefs this year.
Well, unfortunately, they didn't get the job done, and it will stick in the franchise's craw and in the fan base's craw forever.
Okay. Hey, Stu, I'm going to let you go. I think I kept you a little longer than I was supposed to, but I want to say thank you so much for coming on my podcast again. I really appreciate your time.
Glad to do it, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, enjoy the Super Bowl, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon on social media.
All right, my friend. You take care.
You too. Have a great day.
You too, Chris. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my podcast today with Stu Boyar. He was with WGRZ Channel 2 in Buffalo for 35 years. And it was great to talk to Stu about the Bills and also some NFL and Super Bowl 56 as well. And like I said, Stu covered the Buffalo Bills' 4 Super Bowl runs. And he covered the Stanley Cup Playoffs, the World Series, NCAA basketball, and hockey tournaments as well. So, but again, I hope to have Stu back on again in the future. And also, guys, I just want to say thank you to everybody watching my podcast live on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching live on Facebook Live and Twitter at Chris D. Pame if you wish to follow me on Twitter as well. And also, guys, just to let you know, Live with CDP podcast, the audio version will be downloaded to Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, and LinkedIn as well. And also, guys, you can also follow me on TikTok. I post a lot on there, videos, Live with CDP podcast as well. And while I got you guys on here, just wanted to make an announcement. I've got more podcasts next week. Next Live with CDP podcast is going to be this Monday, February 14th at 2 o'clock Eastern. My guest is going to be Tommy Condell, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the CFL's Hamilton Tiger Cats. And he was also a coach on the 2017 Grey Cup champion with the Toronto Argonauts. I did make a mistake on my graphics here. So my next Live with CDP podcast will be this Monday, February 14th, but at 2 o'clock, not 12 o'clock. I made a mistake there. So again, Tommy Condell, he's from Cornell University. He's the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the CFL's Hamilton Tiger Cats and a former Grey Cup champion in 17 with the Toronto Argonauts. He's going to talk about his coaching career in the States with Cornell University, and also the adjustment was coming to Canada back in 2013 with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And he was associated with Ken Austin, who was the Tiger Cats head coach and general manager as well. So I'm looking forward to speaking to Tommy as well. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys can tune in this Monday at 2 o'clock with Tommy Condell from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And also, guys, Super Bowl 56, Bengals versus the Rams from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, 6:30 Eastern Time kickoff on NBC with Al Michaels and Chris Collingsworth and Michelle Tafoya's last game as their sideline reporter for NBC and the football. I'm looking forward to that. Again, I'm picking the Bengals to win 28-21 over the Rams, Joe Burrow to be the Super Bowl MVP. And as of now, the kickoff for the Super Bowl, as I mentioned, is 6:30 approximately Eastern Time. Caesar Sportsbook has listed the Rams as 4.5-point favorites, while the over/under total number of points Vegas thinks will be scored currently is 48.5 points. So I'm saying Bengals 28-21, 49 points scored. And like I said, guys, just some other news as well. As you know, last night the Gulf Storm were up 3-0 to Flint. Flint came back and won 5-4 in overtime. It was a good, exciting game, and Gulf got a point against a very good Flint team. Tonight, the Storm are back on the road at 7:05 face-off against the Saginaw Spirit down in Saginaw, and hopefully the Storm can get a win and 2 points. But so far this week, they've got 3 out of 4 possible points, and hopefully they can get 2 more points tonight against Saginaw's Spirit team as well. And also, guys, some baseball news. The Detroit Tigers on August 6, 2022, if there's a Major League Baseball season at Comerica Park versus Tampa Bay, will finally retire number one for Sweet Lou Whitaker, 1978 American League Rookie of the Year, five-time All-Star, three-time Gold Glove winner, and one of the best second basemen in Major League Baseball history, and an 84 World Series champion. And he should have been the 86 All-Star Game MVP with his two-run home run against Dwight Gooden, which I was mentioning to Stu Boyar. So I'm hoping to be able to cross the border this summer and to go to my first Major League Baseball game in 3 years and to see Sweet Lou Whitaker's name and number retired on the brick wall at Comerica Park. And hopefully a Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown will finally put him in the hall alongside Trammell and Jack Morris and Sparky Anderson from that 84's team. The 84 Tigers team does not get enough respect and love from the media. They were one of the most dominant teams that year, dominating their 35-5 start and dominating the AL playoffs and then dominating the Padres. So I'm so glad the Tigers are finally retiring his number along with Trammell's in 2018. And hopefully the Hall of Fame will get him in there as well. And as for the Hall of Fame, I do agree with Stu Boyar that Steve Tasker should be in the Hall of Fame as a special teams player as well. And just before I wrap it up, guys, just some other news. The Toronto Rock tonight, 4-3, are taking on the National Lacrosse League's best team, the Buffalo Bandits, who are 6-0 in the second of three meetings this season. Saturday night at 5 o'clock Eastern at the First Ontario Centre in Hamilton. Only 500 fans can be there, I believe. I'm not sure. The game will be broadcast on TSN if you want to catch great coverage of that on TSN. And I was supposed to go to this game tonight at the First Ontario Centre in Hamilton. And unfortunately, due to the restrictions on Ontario, I'm not going to be able to go. So I'm hoping to go to my first lacrosse game ever in March, either in Hamilton or in Buffalo. So check it out tonight, 5 o'clock on TSN. Buffalo Bandits 6-0 against the Toronto Rock 4-3. And I'm looking forward to it. And TSN does a really good job with the National Lacrosse League coverage. And also, guys, just to wrap it up, the Toronto Argonauts announced the other day, I believe it was 2 days ago, they have announced they've signed American quarterback Chad Kelly. Chad Kelly is 27 years old, was acquired by the Boatmen via trade with Edmonton in October of 2021. And Chad Kelly was drafted in the NFL by the Denver Broncos, and he's had stints with Denver, obviously, with the Indianapolis Colts. He is the nephew of Buffalo Bills Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly. So right now the Argos have their number one quarterback in McLeod Bethel Thompson. And we'll see what happens. But Chad Kelly's 27, so we'll see what happens with the Toronto Argonauts. He does have all the talent in the world. He has a good arm, good mobility, but we'll see how he does in the CFL, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the Argos have made some nice moves, and same with Hamilton. And I really think the CFL East next year is going to be tougher. Hamilton's going to be a contender again. Toronto's definitely going to be a contender with their moves. And check out my latest podcast with Mike Hogan from a couple weeks ago. And I think Ottawa will be better with Jeremiah Mazzoli as their number one quarterback as well. So, and anyways, guys, I think that's going to be my podcast for today. But again, I want to say thank you to Stu Boyar for coming on live with CDP podcast today. And everybody who listens to this later on my audio platform, thank you so much as well. And guys, if you want one of my CDP podcast hats, they're $18. Just please send me a DM or an email, and I can order you one of my CDP podcast hats. My friend Laura does a really good job on that. Again, my next live with CDP podcast, guys, this Monday, February 14th at 2 o'clock Eastern. Tommy Condell, the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, will come on and talk about his coaching career coming to Canada and his career with the Tiger Cats and his 2 seasons with the Toronto Argonauts as well. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a great night. enjoy the games today. The Red Wings take on the Flyers at 12 o'clock, and we'll see if the Red Wings can beat the Flyers again. They beat them 6-3 the other night in Philly. And then we got the Rock Bandits game at 5 o'clock, and we got our hockey night in Canada. And like I said, I'm going to enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow with Papa John's Pizza and wings and a nice cold beer, hopefully. And we'll talk to you guys Monday at 2 o'clock for another edition of Live with CDP podcast. Again, thank you to Stu Boyar and everybody for watching season 3, episode 3 of Live with CDP. All right, guys. I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy Super Bowl 56. We'll see you Monday at 2 o'clock with Tommy Condell.